CSU, the Vikings. Which I walked past an office and I already saw a Viking helmet and a cowboy hat.
Is that for you?
I don't know. It's country western night. We'll find out. The CSU Vikings take on the Green Bay Phoenix. We had Rob Summers on yesterday, the head coach of CSU. Today, radio show host on hiatus and head basketball coach for Green Bay on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Gottlieb joins us this morning. Doug, how the hell are you?
I'm good. I mean, we were greeted by what would you call that weather last night, where the sun, the lake effect was going sideways. That was when you come from Green Bay and the weather's a little bit more extreme. It's not usually everywhere we go the weather's better, and it was not last night.
Well, I was going to say, I was like, do I start off with the weather with him because it's so bad? I'm like, well, he lives in Green Bay, so it can't be. Has to be around the same. You thought that this was even worse? My God, I didn't realize it.
Well, no, we just that wind. So I live on the bay, and so like I knew what was coming here because it hits my window first, right? It comes down from Canada, it literally comes right to the window. So it was windy yesterday, and then it kind of died down. It was just kind of a crisp winter day. Honestly, it was worse when we landed here. That's a weird one, but that's the new experience. Like my brother's an assistant at San Diego State. And, he always tells me, like, hey, you know what it is today? 75 and sunny every day. So wherever they go on the road, when they come back, the weather is better. Like, we're the opposite, right? Everywhere we go, the weather is usually weather is better. And then when we come back, there's like that depression of, here we go again. But yesterday was a switch. That's all. It's just a different experience.
When did you put the radio show on pause again, Doug?
It was like the Friday after we beat Santa Barbara. So what is that? It's in December 20th.
Are you liking coaching more? It wasn't that long ago, so it's still early, but are you liking coaching more than following along with everyday things going on in the NFL and the NBA and everything like that?
I've always loved coaching. I mean, it's awesome. It gets me up in the morning. I do love sports. I got to tell you, I've avoided not talking about Shedeur for the last almost month. Is pretty awesome. Like,
well, you know who we're going to ask you about. I have to ask you about Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, I actually. Here's what happens, though, right? You guys have done this for a long time, so usually you can't do it unless you wake up with something to say, right? And when it becomes less energetic, like, you're like, well, maybe it's time or whatever. I don't have the most life anyway, right? Because that's what coaching is. But I mean, I had no life at all, and it was just thing to thing to thing to thing. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like whatever you've ever dreamed of doing, this is what I'm doing. And I just felt like, I can't really say I'm going after my dream if there's any chance that there's any possibility that something's falling short because, 3 hours a day I'm doing radio, and then, there's an amount of mental prep time and what you're doing at night. But I was not prepared for how much time I have to annoy the hell out of my staff. They're like, we got it, dude. Go away.
Doug Gottlieb with us, and now you've won 6 of 7, and this is becoming a really interesting story because obviously you were a target when you tried to balance both of those things, and I laugh because when I covered Jim Boeheim up in Syracuse, I would go to practice. Boeheim would be on the treadmill for the first hour of practice, let his assistants run everything, and then he would mosey on over and hit the big talking points, and then he would go to an Italian restaurant for 3 hours. So I always laughed when people were like, you need to be 24/7 coaching. And I'm like, it depends. Everybody's a little different. And now here you are. You have been able to kind of figure out what works best for you right now as your kids are playing much better basketball.
Well, I have my staff is massively improved, and they help. We're just better, and I'm sure, Cleveland State's a perfect example. This is year one, and it's a complete, you have a totally new team. It's really hard. You need some continuity and consistency, and if you don't have that, it's just difficult. And if you look at what we've done, we've changed the lineup some. we've changed how we've guarded. And the other part to it, what people don't realize is at this level, your schedule. I mean, we just opened up a murderer's row. Like, yeah, we started 1-5. Like, well, yeah, we started at Kansas. Then we played a non-D1. Then we played Buffalo, who's really good. Again, we thought we could have won, but I mean they're off to they started out like 13-0, and then we played into St. Thomas, who's one of the best mid-majors in the country, and then we lost in overtime to Minnesota, and then we lost to Yale, who's like top 75 team by 6. It was a 2-point game with 29 seconds to go. So yeah, we started off. We played we're way above our weight class, and then once we've gotten kind of to our weight class, now we're really competitive. So, yeah, and I appreciate what you said about Boeheim. I think there's a couple things. I think I'm a target because I've been an opinionated person, and it's just, how it is. And we're in the era where it's just easy to take shots at somebody who has been in the spotlight for 20 years. And some of the stuff, I'll just be honest, I've brought upon myself. Some of it is the style of my delivery, but also the fact that I actually take it as a compliment that I've lived in people's heads all this time, for something I said that I don't care anything about right now. So yeah, like last year we went through it. It was brutal. I mean, brutal. I had the nation's leading scorer. He was awesome. He broke his ankle 10 games in, and like we had 8 freshmen out of our 10 players playing the rest of the year. Like that's the way it worked. So. But I mean, to me, I don't think you can concern yourself with people you don't care about. It's just more about, my boss, everything in our sphere, fixing our program, and really learning and taking the losses and going like, okay, what do we have to do to be better? How can we turn these close losses into wins? What players do we want to retain? Who do we want to go after? And we're not perfect. Like we're playing well right now, but it's not like. We're winning by 2 points. It's not like we're, just demolishing teams. So, I don't know. You learn from those losses, and you learn mostly who your friends are and who your true allies are, because plenty of people hopped off and are now hopping back on. And, you just kind of move forward every day. That's really, it sounds super cliche, but it's true. But yeah, at our level, I have to be more engaged than Boeheim is, but I let my assistant coaches coach. I don't do everything, but the free time does allow me to, I go to a high school game about 3-4 times a week, not because we are recruiting a lot of Wisconsin high school players, but, the way it works now, I think the way to be successful is to recruit kids that you're not even going to get, and then they're going to transfer back. And the only way you do that is if you have a relationship and if people have good feelings about your program, that they're going to want to come back. And the state of Wisconsin has 4 Division I programs. We want to be the destination for all the mid-majors that want to transfer back in. We want to build a fence and keep the kids home. And so all this new time allows me to be way better as kind of a coach in the community, leader of our program. I'm super prepared, but I also have a chance to watch TV sometimes and, just go out to dinner with friends and all those other things I didn't have before.
All right, I got to get to it here. What do you think of Shedeur? Is he the quarterback of the future? What would you do if you were the Browns?
So, again, it's going to depend on who they hire, right? Because who they hire is going to be everything. But I think I wouldn't do it, but I think they're going to roll with him, and the reason is it's just a really weak quarterback class. It just is. Now, who do they hire to become the coach? Now, that's the other question, because if he's an offensive guy or the offensive coordinator is going to bring a quarterback with him, right? And so if it's one of those vet quarterbacks that needs a second chance, I don't think you can keep Shedeur if you draft somebody else. You just can't, because he's so polarizing and popular. Like, you can't have that guy as your backup quarterback. In college football, your backup quarterback sometimes is your most popular player, because everybody thinks well, just pull this guy, the next guy's better. In the NFL, the backup quarterback is simply there to get the starter ready. That's it. And, obviously that wasn't going to happen. That didn't work this year. I don't know. I feel like they're going to keep him, but tell me who they hire. And but the big thing I've heard from NFL people is there's just not a good enough draft class. So It's not like you're going to use a first-round pick on a guy. If you're not going to use a first-round pick on a guy and you have some equity in both those guys, let those two fight it out. Because if one of those two, and if Shedeur specifically can be the guy, the next 3 years you can build a monster in Cleveland because you're not spending anything on quarterback. And that's where it relates to my job, right? Like we have a budget, whatever your budget is, that's what your budget is. And, if you can get a discount on one of your best players, well, that allows you to put a better team. We say that to kids that we're trying to get to come back. Like, hey, dude, you might be worth more out on the market, but if you can do us a solid, take a little bit less money, then we can get you better teammates and have more success next year. I think that's obviously what Cleveland wants to do. All of these teams that have been built into these juggernauts, that's what they've done, right? San Francisco, they got Garoppolo, but really getting Purdy just allowed them to load up this roster with all-stars. That's what Philadelphia did until they got Jalen Hurts, right? That's the dream, but I think they're going to keep him. I think he's a slightly better version of who he was. I didn't think I don't know why Stefanski took him off the field for that 2-point conversion. That made no sense to me at all. Probably is that what got him fired, do you think, guys?
Which one? Because there was one where he hurt his pinky and people were freaking out in the stadium, but there were a couple of other ones.
It was the one to win the game. What week was it? God, it was the one to win the game.
Already lost. It's already.
That and Doug. They lost so many games over the last 2 years, so it's tough to survive that, no matter who you are.
Yeah. Who are they going to hire?
Well, that's what I want to ask you next, because we've been talking about guys that I'm sure might not be at the front of your brain. I don't even know if you know who they are. Grant Udinsky, is one of them. He's the offensive coordinator who does not call the plays under Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. There's Nathan Shieldhouse, another name, up-and-coming guy with the Rams, so he's going to be on that McVay tree. And I thought you'd be interesting to ask because of you getting the job that you got. You might have some interesting perspective on where coaches need to come from, because for years it was always, all right, you're the grad assistant and you work your way up, or you're an ops guy and you have to do the recruiting and live on the road with all the fast food. Now there are guys that can kind of jump ahead. We saw that with Brandon Staley, who's a kid from Northeast Ohio, who ends up becoming the head coach of the Chargers. It didn't go well, but you see guys elevated. What is it that you think makes you qualified to be a head coach at the highest level?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, the first thing is, you guys brought up a great point about Boeheim. I don't think people know what coaches actually do. They just don't. I think they think we do everything, literally everything. And the job does, at different levels does require everything. But, in terms of the NFL, this one I actually have a great working knowledge of. One of my closest friends is Tom Telesco. He was the Chargers GM for 11 years, Raiders for a year. And, his thing is he kind of lined out for me, how you actually do it. And that, he hired Staley. So I was very well informed in that process. And, if you really want to know how it goes, there's a book, a Feinstein book, was it Next Man Up? And that one talks about Belichick, not Belichick. It talks about, what's the coach? He was the coach of the Ravens. He was the offensive
Brian Billick?
Brian Billick. Talks about Billick and his prep for when he interviewed for the Ravens job, which he ultimately got, right? And that, when you're the coach, you have to have not just a working knowledge of the roster you're going to go coach, but of other rosters and who can become available. And it's all the pieces have to fit together. You have to have an offensive coordinator that fits with you. So if you hire a guy from the Rams, that's the system and then they're probably going to bring a Rams. All of the guys that you work with are going to come work with you. And it's not necessarily about what decisions you make. It's about the decisions you make in terms of who the staff's going to be, how you're going to play, what you're going to be involved in, what coaches you're going to let go and let coach, what things that you're going to do. So, right, if you're Liam Cohen's, guy that doesn't call offensive plays, that's fine. Are you going to call the plays, or are you going to bring in somebody who already knows how to call plays? Because I think, look at the Lions and how they struggled this year, right? You got Dan Campbell calling plays. There was just no kind of rhythm and flow to it. right? And so to answer your question, how was I qualified? I don't know. I was in that I know how to coach basketball. I've coached basketball at the youth level and some, professional stuff for 15, 20 years. But I didn't know how to run a basketball program. And you have to hire people that know what you don't know. And so if you've never called plays before, you better hire somebody who knows how to call plays. And then you have to be aligned with them. If you have no real working knowledge of defense, well, you better hire somebody who not only can coach defense, but you can work with, and the style of defense that they want to run works with the personnel that you have. So those are all the things that you need. Like, I know we get caught up in names and what they've done or whatever, but Liam Cohen is the perfect example that, think about how that press conference was panned when he got the job because he couldn't say Duval correctly. But they're way better. Like, that guy clearly came in, has a plan, hired a good staff, and year one, they're way better. So, I think that whoever you hire has to understand where the Browns are in their growth or in their rebuild, and you got to be all aligned together, and they got to have a plan. Okay, if it's going to be Shedeur, it's got to be somebody who Shedeur can work with. If it's going to be a different quarterback, or if they're just going to proceed and punt for a year on the quarterback position, what's that going to look like? That's what I think they're going to do. Is I think this is going to be a transition year. It's going to be pretty hard, but they're going to load up with talent, use that draft, and just have a super young team, kind of like the Packers. See if see if Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel can be the guy, and if they can't, then they'll go draft a high draft pick next year.
Doug Gottlieb joining us here on the show. Doug, I want to tell you, we'll see you tonight at that game.
You're coming?
Well, yeah, we're supposed to do Mechanical Bull. We're supposed to do a whole bunch of other stuff there. Like, you are going to see a whole lot of us. And
there's a Mechanical Bull at the game? I love this.
Well, I'm being told this. Now, the weather's a little bit crazy out there, so I don't know if they're going to be able to get the thing in the doors. But apparently there's going to be a Mechanical Bull of some sort, or all types of crazy stuff going on, because it is Country Western Night. You didn't know about Country Western Night out there?
I did not.
Well.
What are your ops guys doing? I mean, this is going to be part of tonight's game. We're going to be fired up.
We had half of our travel party got stuck in Chicago, so we had some other stuff going on.
Oh gosh.
So yeah.
Well,
the life in the mid majors is not always pretty, guys. It just isn't. So we flew in on the governor's plane. Seriously, literally, we used these state charters, but we only to get two of them. So we have like 10 in our travel party that has to fly commercial. Two of my assistant coaches, a couple of players, a couple of the ancillary staff, and they're stuck in Chicago. So I did not know.
You know what I hear, Doug? I hear excuses. I hear excuses. Seems like you're scared.
No. Hey, can I give you a sports take that I'm just dying to share with people that you guys can have amongst yourself?
Yeah, what the hell? Go ahead.
I mean, Lamar got Harbaugh. That was Lamar versus Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Right? And the gigantic FU to Lamar is that Harbaugh, I think he already announced that Monken's coming with him.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the whole thing was like, hey, dude, we created this whole offense. I hired an offensive coordinator who can advance passing game guy. I know Monken well. He was at Oklahoma State. To help take us to the next level. And it got worse, didn't get better, right? And we spent all this money on you. And because we did, the defense wasn't nearly as good. And, so and then even when they asked Lamar about, do you think he should be the head coach next year? He was like, I just got done with the game. I can't, what?
They didn't vouch for him.
He didn't vouch for him.
No.
So you think this is personal? This is a personal vendetta?
Yes.
Okay.
Clearly, that's what it is. I mean, right? Am I wrong? I mean, you guys read the same thing.
Well, bringing Monken in, I got to see what their schedule is. They do not have the Ravens on their 2026 schedule. They should.
I don't think it's about. I just think it's about. Clearly, Harbaugh is like, the problem wasn't that guy, the problem was Lamar, it's just crazy because obviously this is where Harbaugh is great, and just like his brother, he never said a negative word ever about Lamar, no matter, how up and down. And Lamar's super talented, obviously, but I've often think it's interesting on what we cover and what we don't cover. when we were doing national media. And that one has kind of gone by the wayside, that nobody's pointing out that, like, this was a bitter divorce between the two. And Lamar should not come out looking great, and somehow he has. So I don't, he's always hurt. He doesn't run as much as he used to. He's never been good in the playoffs, and yet, like, he just somehow is a bit Teflon on things. So I just think that's interesting.
Doug, thank you very much for the time. I'll talk to you about that before the game coming up later on tonight.
Okay, I'm not hopping on a riding bull, but
No.
It is weird. Like, country and Western sounds like a 1980s way, because now it's everything's country. Western has gone by the wayside.
Unfortunately.
You guys notice that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. All right. Doug,
All right, well, Boots Good Boogie. We'll see you tonight.
thank you very much. Doug Gottlieb on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline.